Afternoon. What's up? This your boy, brother Jose, in the building. Just doing a little random live to see who's out there, who's interested. No particular topic, no particular subject. I think I'm gonna go over my last video because I made a mistake that I think I need to definitely correct. Just smoking a little cigar, and so by the time, let me go in on the text. See that got open. Yeah. Let me look for something to open. Let's see. I'm a file, if you will. So wait a minute. Let me look at. Uh, Let me check my history. See if I have anything. Meantime, come in. Man. Let me see. Let me see. I think I read that already. Faulkner, Mime Litchcomb. Yeah, man. People come in. Chill. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I got something here. Jebel Barkel. Some research there. What's up? Yeah, everybody tell me I look like Shaq, bro. For real though. So let's go ahead, jump in here. Let me share my screen. This is some research on Sudan and Nubia. So I'm going to share my screen. Share my screen. Right? Back here. I don't know. Right. So I'm going to go into that. Some of the things are crossways, sideways, all kind of ways. No. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is Sudan and Nubia. Right, a little map there. Right, little map there. Egypt. Give me a second. Let me go and get my. Let me play. Let me go get my. I come in there. I come in. Let me go and get my keyboard. I come in right back. Give me 1 second. hope if I turned it on, right? Okay. Right? So, yeah, let's get into it, right? Oh, right. So, let me just double check my live feed there for 1 second. Right, this is a map here. This is a map here, the general area. All of this would have been part of foundational, ancient Kemet. Right. So it's on my phone, so I don't know how. Right. So I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me know, right? Just want to check and see how my pointer looking because it's on my phone, so this is gonna be real small for me. If you guys can see it, let me know, right? Just want to check and see how my pointer looking. Oh, can't use it, so right. It's a map of the Sudan, Egypt, Red Sea, Sudan, as you can see. So take advantage of the fact I got some people in here. Jabal Barker, 2008 to 2023, new research on the Nepatan and Meratic City. Goff Ember Lynn, Tim Suba El Hassan, and a whole lot of other people. Jebel Barker, ancient Napata, was a major urban center of ancient Kush for over 1,000 years. Right? Over 1,000 years. Let me make it a little bigger. Figure 1. It became the royal capital of Kush in the Nepatan period during the 8th century BC and expanded after Pianki conquered Egypt around 720 BC, where he inaugurated the rule of Egypt's 25th dynasty. It remained an important urban center well into the Meratic period, when construction included pyramids, burials of several ruling Kushite queens known as Kandakas, probably including Queen Amanirenas, who defeated the Romans in southern Egypt around 25 BC. A new field project, co-directed by Goff Emberlin of the Kingsley Museum of Archaeology at the University of Michigan, and El Hassan Ahmed Mohammed of the National Corporation for Antiquities and Museums Sudan, NCAM, began work at Jabal Bakr in December 2018 at the invitation of Dr. Abdel Rahman Ali, then Director General of NCAM, supported by Timothy Kendall, who had directed excavation of the site since the 1980s. Right. The new Jabal Bakr Archaeological Project, JBAP, with the link in there, aimed to investigate Jabal Bakr as an urban center beyond the temple and palace areas that had been the focus of research at the site recently. Kendall and El Hassan, 2017-2022. Siam Pinky and whoever, 2022. One of the conditions that Dr. Give me 1 second. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, Alex. Sub, man. Sub, man. Sub. Like, share, and subscribe, of course. Right. One of the conditions that Dr. Abdel Rahman set for granting the New Jersey permit was the project initiate conservation works in the temple area of the site, which has been the focus of substantial conservation since it was exposed by George Reisner's excavation in 1916 to 1920. He received a significant 4-year grant from the Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation of the U.S. State Department that was built around the idea of full-fledged collaboration between Sudanese and foreign researchers, as well as each supervisory position. The project is now jointly held by Sudanese and international colleagues. Preliminary publication of our results, right? That's boring. We don't want to. Here's a map here. You see Cairo, then what they call in Thebes, Aswan, first cataract. Then you go after the second cataract. Third cataract is Kerma, Kawa, Jebel Barka, El Kuru. Fourth cataract, Nuru, Sanam. Fifth cataract, Kush, Moro, Hamabad. Sixth cataract, Khartoum. Right. So you have the East Mound here. Nah, that's too boring, yes? I'll stop sharing that. And I'll find something else. Let's see what else we have. That is a little too boring. So, of course, I really have no topic. Just felt like being random. So, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me look for something almost burn off my top lip there. Yes. Right. Let's see what else we have here. The African origin of civilization, the Egyptian. Let's see that. I believe this is by Myth or Reality by Sheikh Antidia, right? So we're going to get into that in a minute. Put that up. Let me see. Oh, let me give people a second to come in. I think I might do half an hour today. So while I'm talking, let me go ahead, go through this, because it has some good illustrations. This book was written in, when was the book written? This book was written in the last, in the 70s, 1974. But a lot of us don't read these things, so I'm gonna get into a little bit of it, because it has some good illustrations in here. So, right. People come in. Come in, my people. We're going to read and go through this. It's only 351 pages. So, let me skip around a little bit. There's some nice illustrations in here. And of course, you're going to see some interesting terms in the book. But before I do that, let me go into my dual stream, because this is my content, so I'll share that. How to do some corrections. So let's go ahead and let it play. Why is it not playing? The half a loaf for this one. And then you have the crossroad side, which is for a city. It's called it was a Nuit, right? And then you go down to the next one. You have the crocodile with the T, and then the determinative for people. So while that says Egyptians, that really means more along the terms of Black people. And the last one is just something that has nothing to do with it. It just got caught in it. So let's go to the next slide. My breakdown of the term Kemen. Right. So I basically explained that already. So we can go to the next one. I basically broke that down in the right. I broke that down as well, so you can right. I broke that down as well. Now. So you can go past that because I already broke all that down. Right, I broke that down as well, so you can go past that as well. And this is one of the attestations for Chem. Now, all of these attestations come from the TLA. So as you can see the glyphs, I recreated these glyphs using JSESH translation. So let's just go, and this is from the pyramid text of Unas. This is actually the first time you see Chem and Kemet, and this is the 4th dynasty, right? So this is the text, and we're not going to get into we don't need to get into the transliteration and the actual glyphs. Maybe I could come back and do that on in another presentation. But this is describing him in the afterlife. It says, "For you are the black ram, son of the black sheep, whom the light sheep bore, whom 4 clear sheep suckled." So this is the first attestation of Kemet, but in this case, Kemet is not a place name; it's a physical description of Unas in the actual afterlife. So we can go to the next text. This is an attestation from the TLA, but this is from one of Camo's stele, the 2nd stele, where he was at war with the Hyksos, or the Amu. It says, "After I broke up, I destroyed their cities. I set fire to their sites and places. They became red or barren ruined hills forever because of the destruction they had caused in that part of the Black City." So this is him talking about, this is him talking about getting revenge or getting back at the Hyksos because they had actually brutally murdered his father. So this is him talking about getting back at them and taking and getting retribution for what they actually did to his country. So we can go on to the next slide. And this is actually a primary text here from Unas, which is the part that I read. If you go to his part of the text, this is the first part, and then as you go, then they have, of course, the sources for that. And the next one here, the same crocodile or charcoal with the M, and then you have the T, the half a loaf for the T, and then you have the crossroad.
Nah, man, I rushed through this, man. I really should have taken my time, but I kind of rushed through it because I wanted to do a presentation, and I actually gave a wrong definition of what a monoliteral is. A monoliteral is actually a phonetic symbol that has one consonantal value, such as the reed leaf. It's sort of a kind of a sound. So that's what a monoliteral is. And a phonetic symbol means it has a letter value and not a ideographic value or a logographic value. It's actually like an ABCD, one of those kind of has one of those kind of values. Let's go back into the video, and I'm gonna let it play again.
Side.
Unmute your mic, Q. If you
better slow down now. First off, hold on, wait. First off, we know the Asiatic area before.
Said, stop responding to nobody. Actually, respond.
I'm trying to. So what's going on with
the blackest? Oh.
Right. I also made a mistake. Libyans. Hey, Chris, man. Just the man I was hoping for. If you have time, hit the link, bro. Hit the link, because I know I definitely said something crazy when talking about the Libyans. So if you have time, hit the link, bro. Help your brother out to explain a little bit, because I know the term is Chinahu,
and so forth for the Libyans. But I now realize by the reaction in the chat, which I couldn't actually look at the time, because I was actually on my phone, so I didn't see you guys in the chat. I didn't ignore you, but I see you and Reggie was like, "Nah, bro, you off." So if you have opportunity, hit the link from below. I'm gonna let the video play out because they're gonna have some little interaction there, a little juicy action there. So if you can, bro, hit the link. I should have really sent it to Reggie too to see if he was there, but you know how Reggie is, right? So let me go ahead and play the video. If you could hit the link, big bro, I would appreciate it. Black, they do that. The ancient, first of all, there is no such thing as ancient European text compared to Africa to begin with. So we're not even going there. And when you look at it, they actually use, what they actually did was compare black to black, which means you're either dark black, which is Kem, or Deseret, which is lighter black. The text says that, and when you read the text, you know that. But you're just talking because you've never read an actual primary text in your a primary Kemetic text in your life. So you can't tell me what it means because you don't know what it means. You can't recognize the glyphs. You can't argue, make a linguistic argument. You're just simply saying you don't think so. So Chris, you're going in still there. Everything spiritual is garbage.
Right. So what I don't have to do is I don't have to read a Mexican text to tell you that it's Spanish and I understand what they're talking about. Because what you don't understand is that when they're using the word black, they're not talking about everybody that's on the face of the earth in black people. They're not using the word how we use the word today. And what you're doing, which I said aptly and correctly, is what you want to do is you want to extract that word black to mean that they were talking about you. People like me that descend from the peoples of West Africa, they were not talking about you when they used that word black that you would love to extract and break down on 5 different of 8 slides. No, that's no. That's not no. They were hold on, brother. They were not talking about you. They were not talking about you. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to take that word black to where you can gloss it over to mean that they were talking about you or were mentioning. No, they were not. No different than when you want to. Then you want to say that there was no ancient European text, bro. You sound ridiculous. You need to stop and do a little bit more research.
I just actually dropped the link in the chat. I just realized that I'm telling Chris to come in, and I didn't drop the bloody link in the chat, so the link is now in the chat. So you can definitely come in if you like. If you have any questions, just put your cam on. Let me know that it is you. This is the part where we get into a little bit of a heated exchange. Brother Hercules is going to come in, and him and Cube going to sort of go in on each other. So I'm going to let that play. And Chris, if you're out there, hit the link, bro. Hit the link for me, please. Did you hear what I said?
I just repeated what you said. I just repeated what you said.
Hold on, Cube. I said compared to African. There is no ancient European text.
Who tried?
There is none.
But you tried to compare. I didn't. I made a statement, and then you moved on to a comparison, which I did not do. You took it out of the realm of what I initially brought it to you in. I said when you look. But why would you do that when that's? But why would you do that when that's not the scope in which I brought it?
Well, I'm widening the scope of what you're saying.
So, so when you widen the scope, then that means you take from my original point. So let
me correct you on something that you do not know.
You can't.
And let me correct you on something that you do not know. When you look into ancient Kemetic texts, and you look at what I think is the tomb of either Seti or Ramses, I can't remember which ones particularly. They show you them depicting themselves and all other Africans as the same. They saw themselves the same as all other Africans. West, east, north, and south.
No, they didn't mean you, bro.
They did.
No, they did.
Cube,
no, they did not.
Cube, I'm going to come back and do a part 2.
So let me ask you this question.
I want you to come back on with some actual evidence other than I think so.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
This is your last question because I want to move on to Brother Hercules.
Well, that's fine, and that's actually fair. So when the ancient Egyptians were using this word that you interpret as black, They had no idea whatsoever that West Africans even existed. They had no idea that these people actually existed on the face of this earth. Are you saying that they were using this word black to also incorporate people that they didn't even know existed? Or were they using this word to incorporate the people that they actually knew?
They were you is what when you look at the four the
Brother,
four
I'm
races
asking
of,
you a question.
when you look at the four races of man, they saw
Brother,
themselves,
I'm asking a
yes,
question.
they
Are
saw
you gonna answer
themselves the same as other Africans. Yes,
No. But that, that's not the question I'm asking. Do you want me to ask it again, or did you forget that fast?
no, I don't want you to ask the question again. I want to
So
move on to
okay.
the
So are you gonna answer the question?
I answered the question. The
But you
text showed
didn't
you
though.
that they saw themselves and other Africans as the same.
Okay, but how
There's
can
evidence, Cube, there's physical evidence that they definitely made contact with West Africans. People in West Africa have evidence that they made contact with people in ancient Kemet.
Bro,
So
this
it's
is
not
sad, bro.
it's not as if they're isolated to say that they didn't know and they didn't make it there. That's untrue. That's untrue.
Go
if
ahead.
you read, you know that.
All right, let's let it. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back around to you, Cube. Let's let them go to Hurt.
Yo, yo, am I coming through clear? I'm on my phone.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, you good.
Okay, it's the first time I did it on my phone. So what's going on with the problem with Q? What the problem that you're getting is the same thing. The problem with most black people who always want to try to attack Kemet is that y'all put it in a box, an isolated box, and just try to deal with it. Kemet itself in this isolate, like it's not like it was never connected to the rest of Africa. So
just ask a question.
No, he can respond if you want to.
Bro, let me talk. Let me talk. Okay, you talk. Let me talk because you already talked. All right. So we already know it is proven fact that the people who founded Kemet came from Central and South Africa. All right. They came up and they met up in the kingdom. The kingdom of Kemet was founded by a group of people from the South and Central. All right. So that is a fact. When we talk about them saying they call themselves black, that is not a question because all of our elders and the scholars, black scholars, agree.
Yeah, Chris, what's up?
What's up, man? What's up?
I see you and Reggie was like, I know this Negro didn't just say the Libyans is Asians.
Yeah, you
You hit me with the oh no he didn't.
Yeah,
real quick, huh?
You know what I'm saying? I was hoping you backtrack on that, but you didn't though. I know why.
No, because you know what happened? It wasn't actually my street. So I was on my phone, so I wasn't looking at I couldn't look at my chat and do the presentation at the same time. So it's only afterwards I saw you guys were in the chat that I tried to get to you guys, but like you guys were gone already.
Yeah, I think in the course of the debate, in the course of talking sometimes and arguing, people may forget, to make corrections or you got to be careful. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I did. To be honest, I did. I was dead serious when I said it. Huh? I was dead serious when I said it, Chris. And I really was. Only when I look at it was like, well, the Google was explaining that no, they would not have considered them in the cultural context as being Asiatics.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, yeah, they even said, yeah, they had a word. They have a word for people who are from the Levant. Right. They have words for people who are from the West.
Yeah, Amu, right? Amu would be one type of Asiatic, right?
Yeah, one type of Levantian, yeah. And then you had the people from Mitanni, and then you had the people also going towards Sumer. But the Asiatics, the Amu, were from that Ugarit area, Palestine area, going down, yeah. Which is really kind of like a generic term in itself.
Right, because when they say Amu, I think sometimes they actually translate it as Bedouin as well, which is like desert sand dwellers, right?
Right.
Which is clearly outside of the civilization, if you will. the kind of Arabs, if you will, right?
Right, they were Northerners, right? Well, not Northerners going up toward the Mediterranean. Yeah,
Well, in modern terms, we would call them Arabs. That would be the modern.
yeah,
term.
they would be labeled Arabs. Yeah, yeah. We would say
Now
Arabs.
we have to understand Arab is not a phenotypical description. It's a description of a lifestyle.
Right, and even
You can go-
Arab is a generic term too, right? There are many different
Yeah.
kinds of Arabs and tribes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, people even now people of color call themselves Arabs too.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have Arabs who damn near look white, right? You got some
Yeah.
Arabs who are desert dwellers, and you have some Arabs who are city dwellers, right? So,
Well, now, not then.
well, yeah. Some tribes at some point, settled down. Maybe they were once desert dwellers, but then they settled and started, living in certain areas and stopped roaming the desert. Yeah.
Hey, you know what somebody told me, Chris? They told me that Cush is in Sumeria and that Namur, because of some of the similar iconography, was a Sumerian.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I don't take any. I mean, to me, it's just guesswork. I need to see text. I need to
What it is,
see,
Christopher? You see what it is, Christopher? You have these young boys out there, as I call them, little niggas, who don't have no respect for you, and they
Yeah.
want to get on there and try to use the word nigga. When you tell them about it, they get vexed. But the real reason why the brother got vexed was because he said, I said, I could, I have no. I kind of have a, I'm not the best in Medunetia. So he said, if I pull up a text, could you read? I said, well, possibly depending on what the text is. Guess what he gonna pull up for me, Chris? He gonna pull up Amos, son of Ibana from St. Andrew's Corpus. I was like, nah. Then another brother jumped in and said, we read those texts as practice texts. So yes, I'm gonna know the text.
right.
And then he's pulling up, Mayim Lechcom and saying he's pulling up the text. I said, you're not pulling up the text. That's not a primary source. That is a translation. I was telling him, if you don't see the original, then you cannot necessarily, there's room for disagreement if you can read the original. But the original of the particular text, which was, I forgot the name of the text, but it was written in hieratic. So when I pulled up the primary, none of us were fluent enough to actually read the text. It was some Ramses text. I can't remember which one it was. Yes, I think it was a Ramses text.
What was it about? What were you all looking for?
No. We were just kind of going back and forth. It was on
Oh, okay.
a channel called Redrick. So, I can't remember the name of the channel, but I'm gonna actually promote the channel because it's these young boys that they call the Bomb Squad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think some people still get caught up into if two words sound alike, then that means they're the same. So I can see someone saying Kush and Kish being the same thing, but they're not.
Well, scholars clearly explain that he came from somewhere in the south.
Yeah, but the south he came from was down near that Theban area, around the bend in the Nile. Not south of the first cataract, but down toward that Nile bend, the bend in the Nile.
Right. What I'm saying is he and another brother, KOT from New Torah Movement, actually called Nama a colonizer and said he was raping. I said, where'd they get that from? Look, Reggie coming in there. Yeah, Reggie, brother Reggie, what's going on? Talk to me.
I'm doing okay. So who else is on? Oh, Christopher Withers.
Yeah,
What's up, Reg?
Sure,
Oh
sure.
man, Christopher, man, I was hoping that you was gonna email me.
I know what,
And-
Reggie. I did put it in the chat, but I went back and looked at it. I was like, damn, where'd my email go? Yeah, I put it in the chat.
I was just explaining to him, Reggie, it actually was not my stream. I was dual streaming from brother DMG. So
Yes,
I
I
really
know.
didn't see it until after. So
It's okay.
no. I was letting you know I wouldn't have ignored you, but
No, you didn't ignore me. It's okay.
but I neglected to mention that I
You
should
didn't have to.
I should have made him. What I'm gonna do next time, I'm gonna make him a moderator so you can drop the link into my chat. So if anybody wants to,
Yeah, no, it's fine. DMG, me and DMG is cool. I presented there. Wow. But I was yeah.
I know, Reggie. I know.
Okay.
I know. Go ahead and say it, Reggie.
No, it's nothing. It's
Chastise me because it's okay. I look for chastisement. Go ahead and chastise me.
I'm not gonna chastise you. I don't. I always try to help. So like Christopher Wizard, that's our big dude right here, Christopher
Yeah,
Wizard.
right.
So
I call him the Emir Meduneche. He told me stop calling him that.
well, yeah, he's he's an administrator, right? What's wrong with that? Huh?
He told me don't call him that. He don't like that. He don't like that name. He told me stop calling him that.
Wait, Christopher, you want something bigger?
Nah, man. Reg, you know me, Reg. I like to just kind of be humble and sit back and.
Well, I said it. You could agree with it, It's not egotistical if you agree with it.
Ain't nobody humble in this space. This space is a very competitive, nasty space.
That is true.
Even when you're trying to present new information. So where were you talking about before I got on so I can catch up and then say what I want to say?
I was actually showing the stream and I was making a correction that when I actually talked about monoliterals, I made a mistake and said a word, but it's not a word. It's a phonetic symbol that has one syllable, one consonantal value. So I had to correct that too.
Okay. All right.
But I really kind of rushed the presentation now, which I should not have done.
Well, you go out there. How can I say you always put yourself on a limb?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a serial.
Yep.
As I call myself, Reggie, a serial window jumper outer.
You put yourself out there like that on a limb. He hit it right on the head.
Yeah, you
walk
the plank.
Because at least at the end of the day, I have something to critique. So even if you want to say it's wrong, at least it's some work that you could critique. So at least I can be proud of that. Trying to put together some work.
Well, you're logging your journey. People like me,
glad somebody could see that.
I sometimes hide my journey because within it are mistakes that I wish I didn't make, right? And so I try to hide the things that I'm not really excited about that I made. So a long time ago, I was I came up under the scholars that use the Black land and a lot of spirituality and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff, I regret the methodology, not regret them as trying, but regret the methodology.
I'm with you, but I try to use the best methodology that I can use. But
well, one day we're gonna have to send you to school.
Mm-hmm.
Do something, right?
You're gonna have to take Dr. Ricketti's.
You got to do something, right?
We got to send you to school. So, but it's a long process. Christopher Wizards knows it's a long process,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes, it's a long process.
So and I think one time, I don't know if it was Reggie told you this or somebody else, but those kind of topics, man, you need to first talk with us amongst us first.
No, I did,
Yes.
and this is why I did the reconstruction.
When?
Because
When you did that?
shout out said, listen, what you should do is do the reconstruction, because when you go to TLA, you'll find a lot of mistranslations and overwhooping and different things of that nature. So he's saying only if necessary you'll show the TLA. So I did, and it, believe it or not, that was a lot of work for me. Huh?
Well, if Jedem Ankh, he's like Christopher Wizards.
Right.
When he says the reconstruction, he knows reconstruction hasn't been done. But you have to factor in that it has not been done, right? But you go. I have to. You didn't present long, so I didn't see it.
Nah.
But
you can always go back. I have it here. I was actually playing it before.
Yeah, you didn't present long. All right. So what's your? You can just be short. What is your abstract? What's your thesis?
Right.
Boy,
it's a good start.
I really need to put together a proper abstract and a proper.
What was your thesis of doing that show? What's your abstract? What were you trying to prove?
I was really just showing the meaning of Kem and Kemet from a proper culture, well, trying to from a proper cultural context, as opposed to just talking, showing some text and saying, well, this is how they use the word, this is how it's translated, this is really what it means.
And what do you think? Yeah. Oh, Christopher, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Rick, go ahead, Rich.
No. Go ahead.
Okay, so but the bit I'm like Reggie. The bit I heard when I jumped in. How did you all end up on talking about Libyans and the tomb of Seti I and the?
Because I was actually answering people who were on the panel because we did a panel.
See,
So
you need to keep it. You need to keep to your topic, bro. You need to not let them pull you off into different areas like that. Yeah, we could talk about that, but maybe on a different show. But for now, I'm here to talk about the cultural blah 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 nuances of the word Kemet.
You know, I did tell him that I was going to do a part 2.
No, but okay, fine. But what I'm saying is stay on topic, and then when you stray off like that, because I think, well, not I think I know, when you have a topic and you stray off like that, you're more prone to making mistakes and kind of shooting from the hip. You know what I'm saying? Just work out of your set, work out of your toolkit. If I'm here to talk about the origins and the meanings of the word Kemet and Kemetiu and Remet and all that, then stay on that. Don't let them pull you off into Libyans and did Egyptians see other people as the same? And I'm like, where did all that come from?
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually went into that. I really didn't necessarily need to.
Yeah, but he asked you a question. So now we need to figure out why you said it. What you said? Why?
Fair enough. I don't. That's a good question. I guess that's when you get caught up too much in a little emotionalism, and you don't take 2 deep breaths and take the 30 seconds before you do that.
Well, it's getting caught up in be an expert in things that we all are not necessarily experts in, and that's the critique, right? Sometimes we're not equipped to answer all questions. And then we make mistakes that we will regret, right? Yeah. Later on. So now, you said, did you say that? What did you say about the Asiatics? That they're
when just now?
Yeah, say it again.
I was saying that when you talk about Asiatics, they have a word Amu, and sometimes the scholars translate it as meaning Bedouin or desert sand dwellers.
Okay, that's fine.
The quote unquote Semitic, people of that nature.
Okay.
And when we look at Bedouin,
are the Libyans Asiatics?
Apparently not.
Say what?
Apparently not.
What do you mean apparently not?
Right.
Apparently, in the cultural context which we're talking about, no, they were not in the Levantine area, so they would not have been considered Asiatics according to.
Did you say that on a panel?
No, I actually corrected myself just now.
Too late. See, that's the problem.
I didn't know. Well, the reason why I didn't correct myself was because I couldn't see you guys in the chat saying it. It's only after I saw it and then I went and looked into it to realize that I might have that it was a misstatement. If I had seen you guys do it, I would have corrected it at that point in time. And I didn't catch the other mistake either until Sadiq actually pointed that out to me as well. So I didn't catch it because I was going through it so fast. I didn't catch the mistake. If I did, I would have corrected that at that particular point in time.
So the Libyans are not Asiatics.
Clearly not.
Okay. And
they're African.
Yes. And what groups are they? What populations are the Libyans? Do you know any of the populations?
The specific geographic area, I cannot specifically say no.
Meshwesh,
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you mean modern name Reggie?
Yeah, no, I meant exactly what you just said. That was to be the first one that would come up. What about the Rakits?
No, they would say, Chenahu, of course. Timahu, different, those would have been the indigenous names at the time.
Yeah.
Some
Now,
would have-
now the Tamahu are would be considered Egyptian, right?
I don't think so.
Why not?
I'm just saying I don't think that the
Because
Timahu
of Jabari?
is Egyptian.
Yep.
Because of
Thank you,
Jabari,
Rich.
right?
Because of what?
Jabari.
No. What he says was he uses that word to describe what we would call Europeans.
Uh-huh. And he's wrong.
Yes.
Well, I did see, I believe it was Smash go into it, and he was reading from a scholar that they said that at some point in time, they may have used that word to describe people like Italians and other people who would who we
No.
would consider white.
Never.
You
There's
said describe Italians?
No. I think it said something like at a certain period they would have used that term to describe people that we would consider white today. The term was expanded.
Yeah, that's Gerald Massey's fault.
Yeah.
Gerald Massey and
Yeah.
some
I don't
others
know.
made that mistake.
I don't know who he was. Well, I don't know if he was stating as a fact. He was just showing that probably as scholarship. I don't know if he agreed with it or not. He didn't say so.
Well, Smash used a term that they later used, right? That they later used when the Romans were coming into the area, and I forgot the actual name, but it's close to Tamu. It's
Okay, well,
but that's in a later period.
right. But he did point out there's some kind of word. Close
Right, but that's in a later.
Yes. Yeah, he did point that out, saying that later on they did use that type of language to describe
Yeah,
it.
but it's more geographical. Rather, it's more geographical than racial.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that.
Well, okay, so yeah,
Because
so,
a lot of these terms are basic geographical terms as opposed to skin color and phenotypical real.
so the Tamhu or the kind of lower Western Desert type groups of people who would become populations of Nubia A. They might have reached as far as down to Nubia A, and then populations within Kemet, possibly Nakata, and they would get there through the Gift Kabir, following the Gift Kabir and other places to go into, and there would be a close population. So Jabari is absolutely wrong.
Right. Well, I wouldn't dare to necessarily go against that because I haven't done research to really know.
Well, you do. You go out of your research points for other points. That's why we're talking. So, if you do have to know that the people of Nabta Playa, they would have been what groups? The white man, the Tamhu?
No,
What would they been?
they would have. I believe there would have been different groups of what they are calling Nubians.
Well, okay. They would have
If
been.
I'm wrong, you can correct me. But
Yeah, they would have been closer if you look at the geographical of what they know about the Tamhu, right? The Tamhu groups would be there, and on above them would be the Ticino groups, right? And that Ticino groups would deal with the Meshwesh and
but they would have been considered ethnically the same people, though. They wouldn't have been different people necessarily. Correct?
I don't know what that means.
Who
What
would
I'm
have
saying
been?
is like what I'm saying is like saying someone from Kemet and someone from Nubia. They're not necessarily distinct groups in terms of what you would call a phenotype or their ethnic background.
I'm not arguing that.
You
That's
have the
not
same.
what I'm- They're never. None of them are really, really big, distinct. They're gradients. They're
Right.
never distinct groups, right? They're always gradient groups.
Right.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it wouldn't necessarily be based on phenotype like we would do.
No, that's
No.
It's
No.
not that. It's more geographical. Clear.
Well, it's ethnic groups, right? They have different practices. I mean,
Right.
that's ethnic groups.
I mean, but what I'm saying is when we deal with ancient Kemet, the descriptions are more deal with geographical locations as opposed to race and things of that sort.
Yeah, you have the Nuiwa that that darkens. The Nuiwa individual is largely from North Africa. He's from a North African strain, but he's in Kemet, and then he has some DNA from outside of Africa, right? From outside of Africa. But that DNA strain that he has outside of Africa doesn't mean that those groups were not ever in Africa, but admixed with groups in that area, right? So you have admixture of Africans out of Africa with these groups, but they try to only make it Asiatic, right?
Yes.
Or Asiatic is a bad word. Near Eastern is another interesting word, but let's say out of Africa. So they once you're out of Africa, they try to strip your Africanness.
Exactly.
So well, first of all, you don't have to say it but I'll say it. When you say Jabari is wrong based on Brother Reggie, right?
Okay, cool.
You could quote and say, well, Brother Reggie says that this Tamu stuff is wrong, and I have to do some more research. But I will stand on the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about when he's trying to make them the white man or influx of Asiatics. He doesn't know what he's talking about. There's nothing in there that says it. It's not about being hate. It's just that some people are cult followers and they're following him and not checking his research. He's wrong. And that's that. Okay. So wow. So Christopher Withers. Chris, you still there?
What's up, Red?
You're okay. So in the what I was trying to talk to you about, and he says, do you have a written paper? And I just have to dot my I's on some things, but I do have it. Okay.
I put my email in the chat too amongst us.
Okay. All righty. So now I have it. So that's good. Let me just type it. Okay. So generally,
if you want to share a screen, you can share a screen already.
On this little screen that you got, nobody can see this. I don't know why.
I see it.
Huh?
No, I do it this way because what happens is you get more views when you do it that way.
Okay, well, you views versus getting information is two different things, right?
Right. But I can't change it in the middle of the presentation. But what I could do the next time,
Well,
if you want to come in, I would do it the other way.
I have time. I have time today. I don't have.
But I don't think I could change it. So
okay, that's fine. I'm just talking to my brother Chris. I won't call him the Emir, but he is great, huh? Okay. So here's the thing. Okay, so I just want your thoughts on this, right? Because I've already written it, but I could make some changes because I haven't published it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are you familiar with the Diop and Sonoran conversation?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So let me just read what it says, what Sonoran said. Okay. Give me a second. Why is it so hard to find? Okay. All right.
you see, Chris, I'm kind of upset because I would love for you to come on and do a presentation, but I know you don't do that.
I mean, the stuff I'm interested in, most people I think aren't really interested in those kind of things.
I don't care.
Nah, people want to hear about skin color and black people being the first. I mean that's cool. I dig that, but that's not I don't
No,
spend.
no.
I don't
Chris.
spend. Yeah, no, man. That's what people want to hear, man. They want to
No,
hear
but
Egypt. They
I'm
want to
with
hear the
you.
black man, and they want to hear the black of the blackest night, and the black of the black, the black.
But you know what
That's
I would love?
fine,
You,
but I don't spend a lot of time on that.
you know what I would love for you to really come on and do? I would love for you to do a physics presentation.
Oh, now that okay, physics.
That would be something different for my channel. I would love for you to do it. I would love for you to discuss that and relate that possibly to ancient Kemet.
Why?
I just like ancient Kemet. He doesn't have to. I just like
Right,
ancient-
but you're saying physics in ancient Egypt. Then first you have to say that they in fact was doing physics or
Right.
something else.
I
So
was getting ready to say that, Reg. Yeah.
What,
no, I'm not gonna let them
were
get-
they kind of doing physics? Didn't they have a kind of understanding of physics?
no, they weren't doing physics.
No, they weren't doing physics.
They were not?
No.
Okay, so physics is what? It deals with the like gravity and things of that sort, right?
Well, you want him to do the presentation, so then you should find out what physics is.
Right, I know physics deals with gravity and all of these different sorts of
I mean, loosely, it's an interplay and how matter and energy relate to each other in the universe. Like as a good textbook definition, we can go deeper and probe and pull that apart. But in terms of like a textbook definition, the Kemetiu, the Remech weren't concerned with the interplaying on a macro and a micro level of matter and energy.
But they did sort of address that in a kind of roundabout way, in a kind of rudimentary way.
An observation.
We could
Right.
say.
Only observation. The observation is not the application. It's the proto version of or their ontological, cosmological thinking, and mixing that in with actual observation.
Right.
So
So they had some sort of idea, but of course, clearly not as deep as we would have.
Right. They were mainly they used their knowledge of physical sciences to manipulate, bend their environment, to make it more convenient for them to do certain things in terms of structure, agriculture,
yes,
chemistry, but they weren't really interested in coming up with a model that replicates that and that can explain that in all time. And in part, physics does that. Physics seeks to understand a mechanism in all time, if you will, with little quotations around it. And then from there we go in and manipulate it. But they weren't really, they didn't have no time to be interested in that, really, right?
Right.
It's also physics is very closely related to mathematics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their mathematics at that particular point couldn't deal with their level of mathematics couldn't deal with some of the physical properties, right?
Right.
And so you have the difficulty of proving what you say rather than saying what you say.
But they definitely did have some sort of understanding of the natural world, because when they talk about
not physics.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. They definitely did, but they definitely knew about certain cardinal points.
But that's not physics.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. They understood levers and mechanisms, but they didn't have an idea of the definition of mechanical work. They knew how to carry it out.
Right.
Right. But
they didn't have they didn't have a formal framework to explain it in the way that we explain it now. They were explaining it in their, they just did it. They probably didn't even have no big explanation.
To the point where you could come up with algorithms to describe something, again, in all time or in multiple situations, and then apply it.
Well, I guess as you say, Christopher, it's about people's interest and what they put as important in there.
Right, but you couldn't ask him. You can't ask him to do Kemet and physics. He would say Kemet and precursors of Kemet, and rather than precursors of physics rather than physics. Then you're being you're setting him up to be problematic.
This is why I asked the question, because I'm not an expert on it, so I just put it out there. So now I know
So let me
can't
tell
do it
you,
in that way as you would do it in 2026.
so let me tell you, I've actually done something like what you just described already for a small audience of people, a certain group of people, and what it turned into was a metaphysical thing and not physics, right? It turned into the Egyptians understanding black holes and quantum physics, and then they missed the whole thing. So then I had to try to go back and show them, well, no, they did not understand quantum mechanics. They had no knowledge of quantum mechanics, right?
I would agree with that for sure.
Right. They use Newtonian principles, as we would call it, even though there was no Newton yet. But once again, they didn't come up with any algorithms or formulas to describe a certain phenomena in nature for all time.
Wouldn't definitely
because they didn't have to. That wasn't they didn't need to do that. And plus they didn't have the mathematical sophistication to carry that out.
Right. You see, and this is where a lot of arguments come in, where people try to impute modern things that did not exist in Kemet, and then they make a boo-boo and start to sound crazy, like microscopes in Kemet. No one makes that argument that there were microscopes. They do say.
Well, Inky says it, right, Reggie?
Yeah, Inky made the point. He did a full microscope, not even a proto. Like, we know that they could shape lenses and stuff, and maybe they did were able to bend and create a lens in some cases, but that's not a microscope.
Yeah, they did. I looked it up, and it said that they had some wooden statues, and the statue eyes were convex lenses, and they also had some crystal objects as well.
Yeah, and so
microscopes in that sense.
Yes, but that doesn't. But the application. So there's a difference between an application which works, right, and the physics behind it. For example, pyramids began with blocks of granite, right, and then later during the Middle Kingdom, all right, they started using mud bricks, right? Well, the mud bricks, all of the mud bricks pyramids collapsed, right? So that means that the physics wasn't correct, right? They stumbled onto one method, and then they created a pseudo method of blocks, right? And those all fell apart. Amenemhat's pyramids and things like that, right? So that means all of the things that goes into physics and how physics is related to mathematics, and then related to things like discrete mathematics, those type of things weren't applied. They were more applications.
But I always hear them say these kind of hard stones and how they were amazed that the ancient Kemetiu could carve like things like diorite, how they were amazed that they could carve these things with the hammer and chisel because of the
the applications. And so whether
of these materials, and
whether they knew how to soften stone by using acids and bases and things like that.
I would like to know that.
Right.
Did they just take a hammer and chisel and just chisel until it?
No, it looks like they did some stone softening, and then they also, in other capacities, they knew how to do create a concrete of the same materials, right? But to say that we can look at it right now and look at the physics of it to check it, because we have the tools. They didn't have you don't have no tools. You don't have tools, you can't check it.
Right. And it's funny you said that about the concrete, Reg, because the stele of Eretisen kind of hints as into making of concrete. Yeah. Softening concrete.
I don't have that stela. I have you said a stela of who?
Eretisen. Yes, you do. You got it. Years ago.
Oh, yeah. Eretisen, because Erit mean to do it, brother, right? Get it done, brother. But and then that and the famine stela, where they talk about something called Arikat, right? Arikat, it seems to be it means stone flesh, right? Arikat, right, is flesh, and this Ari is like a stone flesh, and so that is the technical word for it. But those again are applications, and we can explore now the physical properties of those applications. Okay.
But it was interesting because Smash was showing the book, The Rock Tombs of Mir, and in the book, they were showing you like they were shaping some sort of material and mixing certain materials when they were actually making the statues. That they were
In the Rock Tombs of Mir.
Yeah, when you look at the depictions in the book, it looks like they were mixing up like stone balls.
Okay.
Onto the backs of some of the statues that they were actually making.
Okay.
And
well,
when you started reading the Medu Neter when they were making the back of the statue, like they were mixing up probably something concrete to actually smear it onto the statue. So it looks like it wasn't natural, it naturally occurred. They had some sort of chemical formula that they would make up.
Okay, but you sure it's not clay? That they weren't making clay statues?
Actually, I can't remember exactly what it was, but they had some. They were describing as like balls of rock that they were putting onto the back of the statue.
Yeah, or they could have been wet sanding.
I couldn't say exactly. I don't know if the text itself explains it in that particular way.
I think I got that. The Rock Tombs of Mir. I think we'll look at it.
Right, but they were definitely. It was definitely something man-made. You could tell that they were mixing up something. Okay. It didn't look like just a rock. It looked like they were like forming it in their hand into this to put it onto the statue.
Okay.
Particularly the back of the statue.
Okay. Well, one thing is having a picture. The other thing is actually having the actual artifact of the picture.
I have the book, you know.
I have the book. I have the Rock Tombs of Mir. I've used it in my work several times. Black men, right?
It has Medu Neter on it, so I think the Medu Neter explains what they were doing. To some extent.
Okay. Well, that's not. We can look at the physics of the materials. Now, when they was just doing something that worked, right? It worked. There's two different things. Just because something works doesn't mean that they're actually understanding physics.
No, I'm not disputing that. I just was wondering if there's any way that you could possibly do that.
Yeah,
and if there is no way to do that. I was just curious.
Well, we talked about Erterson. We talked about the famine stela, and you introduced the Rock Tombs of Mir, right, which is in a really, really early period, or Middle Kingdom, before Middle Kingdom, intermediate period, right?
Where Christopher went.
So possible, but that's applications, right? Physics is whole nother concept with classical physics and stuff like that, and we don't have that until much later period, right? I mean, Egyptians, they're believing that the sun is circling the earth, right, in their text, right? So doing that is a big lapse of what you start talking about physics and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
The sun circling the earth is really, really problematic, just to show that it was more observation and thinking. All their missed observations and their thinking. But so anyway, so what I want to ask Christopher.
I don't know what happened to Christopher. Christopher, he dropped off. I don't know what happened.
Oh man, we was talking about this stuff.
I really don't know, but I was Chris. If you can come back, but I was actually talking about a conversation I was having on another platform with a young brother who's a Hebrew Israelite, and the brother was telling me that Narmer is from Sumer. I said that can't make no sense. And then KOT, who is with the Torah, the new Torah movement, said
Okay, I don't
that,
care about that.
that
If you
Narmer
can't-
was a colonizer. And I said, how could you make those kind of statements in public
Yeah, I don't care about
and telling people? And I don't get that. Where did they get those things from? There's no primary document stating that Narmer was from anywhere other than the South, which is in Kemet. He wasn't a foreigner. He wasn't a colonizer. So I don't know where they get these kind of ridiculous ideas from. 'Cause I
They
know
get it from they get it from being religious belief. I mean, so you have to get yourself into ability where you have a proposition where you can write an abstract, where you can write and maybe publish something. And then when you do that, then if you're talking about a subject like that, the source, if they researched it and wrote something and published it, and where is it coming from? Right. Otherwise, it's just I don't care about winning all of these stupid YouTube arguments anymore. I don't care about that. Huh?
Yeah, I could agree with you on that. Because he's trying to frustrate me. Because he's just talking and talking. And then hear what the individual did, Reggie. The man said, I said, well, and he said, if you put up a text and read, I said, depending on the text, I'd be able to, read it and recognize it. So then he goes into St. Andrew's Corpus, and guess what text he pulls up, Reggie?
But
He pulls up the autobiography of Amos, son of Ibana, as if I would know what that says. I said, no, you're not going to catch me with that text. Definitely not that text.
okay.
And then he starts to pull up Miriam Litchcomb and says he's pulling up the text and present as a primary source. I said Miriam Litchcomb is not a primary source. And there's no Medu Netra or whatever in her books. So we're just trusting what she's saying. She doesn't show the book doesn't show the original text when she's just showing her translations based on her being a linguist. You understand? So there's room for correction. If you can read the original language, there might be room for correction. So then the individual got mad at me again and started to refer to me with some derogatory names. But
Okay, you expect that.
Right, but I'm telling the individual, you need to understand, pulling up what a scholar says is not a primary source. A translation,
Right.
That's not the text. That is her understanding of the text based on her being a qualified linguist. And she's subject to correction just like anyone else.
Yeah.
So I don't get people making these arguments not being familiar with the language and the culture. And when you tell them that, they want to argue with you. But the same individual, when you pull up the text and say, well, this is the original text in hieratic, can you read it? They can't read it. Nobody on the panel was fluent enough in hieratic to be able to read the text, but you're making an argument and telling me I'm arguing and disagreeing. No, I'm trying to show you. You can't just pull up anything and call it a text. You can't just pull up.
That's okay. That's yeah. My thinking with that is, they are going to be argumentative, and you can do one or two things. You can explore their arguments, or you could, but you can't expect to win from those people. But at the same time, I think the points that you made to him were correct.
I know that.
I think that those points were correct.
You're right, and this is what and this is what I'm saying is that when you want to have an argument, you should have an argument, Reggie. And I don't like it. It's not an argument. This is the text. It's not an argument because you have to know what a primary source is.
Yeah. I don't think that Miriam Litcham. For the most part, Miriam Litcham's, though she doesn't provide the meta nature, she's largely very close.
I would think so.
And you said what?
I would think so.
Yeah, she's largely very close, and there are very few scholars actually. We don't see all her work material, but except for a word or two, you could, yeah, except for a word or two, uh, uh, um, you can have some interpretive differences, but most of her work is most of her work, a large part of her work, the majority of her work is really pretty good. We would have just liked to see the Meta Necha.
I would
And
love.
but she does give the text, so that means we could go into the text ourselves
Yes,
because she tells you what text she's translated.
yes, she does.
So then we could source that text. We just can't see her particular work product, but we can always get the text of what Miriam Litton is saying.
But where we did source the particular text in question, hieratic, and none of us were fluent enough to actually be able to read the primary source.
Well, but then there are texts where it has the hieratic and the Meadow Necha.
Right.
But once we have the text, then we can source that. But she has done a great service.
Right. And then now, I had also had to explain to him, when you pull up things like St. Andrew's Corpus, those are the hieroglyphics, but they're not considered primary. They're not primary sources.
Yeah, but that doesn't make that argument is how can I say it's a relative argument, because if the form is in hieratic, then first you would try to pull up the hieratic and see if there is any mistakes. St. Andrew's Corpse, there are a lot of good, many good translations in it that definitely line up to the
Yes.
primary.
But we do definitely find sometimes omissions and certain things that don't line up necessarily with
in all texts.
Lecture.
In all texts, in almost all of them, because they're on material that are fading and stuff like that. Material.
Yeah.
It's hard to every day, every year, the texts are becoming less and less readable.
Oh man, and then the destruction doesn't help. The carelessness that these early Europeans exhibited didn't help. Such as when I was reading the Papyrus of Ani, when they did the foreword, I think it was Faulkner or one of them who was saying that we did this book in an attempt to recreate texts that we actually destroyed due to cutting the text up and gluing them onto pieces of wood. We actually destroyed the text because the text was actually well preserved before they did that.
Yeah, and that happens. And that happens. And so Europeans, as custodials of the primaries, for the most part, they did a good job. A lot of the once you pull something out of the situ, right, then you're gonna get how can I say? Now it's exposed to light, exposed to air, and oxidation, and so that you are going to have those problems. So, but what we have enough to make a lot of points, and a lot of the stuff we agree with it. The only thing that we don't agree with is the word, the usage of Kemet. That's the largest argument, right, with translations of Kemet.
Yes.
But everything else, we have just small disagreements with, for the most part, right? So
Yeah.
it's just Kemet. Kemet is the biggest problem that we have.
But here's what gets me mad, right? People want to argue with me, not realizing those 7 slides was a lot of work for me. I didn't just
Even though I rushed it, I still, it still was a lot for me to do.
Right. They don't care about that. They care about if it's right, if it's sourced.
Yeah, but how
Um,
do they know? They don't care about that. The individual that came, one individual came to the panel was just making an argument because he likes to argue. He doesn't know
Right.
anything about it. He has no context of it at all.
Yeah, because he's coming from his value system, his book.
He's an atheist. No. This individual outside the cube is an atheist. He doesn't believe in spirituality. But then at the same time now, when someone
Yeah,
like
but
him
he's just an
agrees,
argumentative guy, right? He's just an
Yes.
argumentative guy.
yes,
So you're gonna expect that from him. I don't talk to him.
Chris came back on Reggie.
Okay, great. So
Reggie was asking you something and you fell off. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I fell off. Yeah, sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Reggie
Okay.
wanted to ask you something.
okay, so in the UNESCO conversation with Diop and Sonner, Dr. Sonner and Dr. Diop and Dr. Soneron, I'm going to read it. Professor Soneron, intervening in the course of a lively exchange of views on linguistic matters between Professor Abdallah and Diop, stated that in Egyptian, Kim, feminine, Kemet, meant black. The masculine plural was Kimmel, and the feminine plural Kimnet. Okay, so Soneron is trying to intervene in this conversation by giving them all some rules. But what he said was the masculine plural was chemo,
Mhm.
and the feminine plural was Kimnet.
Kim two or Kim Wet?
Kimnet.
Kim Net. Okay.
Okay, so the masculine, the feminine plural of the masculine Kimu is Kimnet. Where do you have a problem with that? Do you have
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. Kim Net.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. Not
Right.
I think. I'm willing to bet some money on it that's an error. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that becomes my point of my paper. Okay. So then later on, Soneron says to designate black people, the Egyptians would have said Kemet or Kemu, not Kemetiu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem with that is that unless we heard it wrong, there was a mishearing. There's nothing in the Kimnet does not make any sense.
Right.
It does not make any sense whatsoever, right?
Right.
So I will put it on the screen, but I don't think that you can see it in this format, so it's worthless. But so I could talk to you. So, but then he makes the mistake. He says to designate black people, the Egyptians would have said Kemet or Kemu, not Kemetiu, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if to designate black people, which would have been a collective, then he's saying that you would have said Kemet or you would have said Kemu.
Right.
But the problem is they would have not said Kemu, right? They would have probably said Kimwet. And that goes back to the Kimnet, that the Kimnet was it was never supposed to be Kimnet. It was supposed to be Kimwet.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So if you did want, well, the Kimnet definitely I think is an error. But if you wanted to say black people, Kimu would be a good way to say it because that would either be a participle or it would just be a plural, right? Those who are black, right? But the those could not the those could unless you put the appropriate determinative on it, those could be anything. But you're right though. So Kim Wu would be a good way to say it, and then of course Kemet would be, you know, that which is another kind of like participle, that which is black, and then of course Kimwet would be a feminine plural. And then I guess again it depends on what kind of determinative you would stick on it. But since they want to make Kemet a collective, then of course it wouldn't be Kimwet. But grammatically though, you could write it as Kimwet. Yeah.
Okay, so now when so Diop is argued. So in the UNESCO, as far as what is reported, they never put up an example of. Diop never put up an example of his version of Kemet, but he described it. It was a Kemet with the A1, B1, Z2, which is the three plurals.
Right.
Glyph, right? The people glyph.
The people glyph, yeah.
So the argument would be, that's where I need your help. Okay, so there are terms where not Kimu, but terms where they do use the U or the U, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the masculine, and then all of a sudden the U part disappears.
Right.
I could show some cases of that. So what I need to understand from you is first, could this be a form of a weak consonant?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say that. Yeah. So the weak consonants normally are the ones that fall off. Example, in the Lake Kingdom, you'll see Kemet, the toponym, and you will see it spelled completely out with Kemut. So that kind of gives us a hint as to how it probably originally sounded. But at some point, you know, that weak consonant just got left out, and then we just see it as Kemet. Right. So yeah, weak consonants definitely do fall off, especially in the late period.
Right.
Let me just let Brother Reggie know if you go into the private chat, you'll see Chris's email. Huh?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
just want to make sure.
Oh, thank you so much. So with Diop's dealing with the hymn to Sinwar set, where he actually has where he's actually believing that version is Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
If it is Kemet, then the weak consonant dropped off, the W dropped off, because let me look at it like this. Because of the various examples that we have of like for example, we have let me just do it. We have lots of versions with the wet suffix. Okay, so I'll start there. I think that's better. So, for example, we have windwet, which is the shorthorn cattle.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means human associates, right? In that particular case, the W did not fall off, right? We have, and then we have, of course, we have a wat, which is a form of cattle or cattle itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the we have this wet suffix. But what I'm arguing is that sometimes we have a wet suffix and W drops off. Right, and so then, for example, instead of, it should have been Kimwet, but it was Kemet, and even Sonoran says it was Kimnet, but it could never have been Kimnet. So
right.
he was actually arguing himself Kimwet. So my my thinking is that him to Sonoran, Sinwar Set was actually not Kemet, but because of our convention became Kemet, but it could also be argued that it was Kimwet.
Kimwet or Kimwut.
And if it's argued as Kimwet, if it could be argued as Kimwet instead of Kimnet, then Sonoran's other statement about they would have called themselves Kemet or Kimu, right? Then we have the case because it's not Kimu, it's actually Kimwet.
So I guess what would be a good thing to do is I would just probably this probably lengthens the time for the paper, but we have to just find some other versions of Kimmut being used or Kimwet being used as such, right? I've personally seen it used with the town determinative, but in the Lake Kingdom, right? I have seen Kimmut describing the location.
Okay, so I actually need that. So when I email you, if you can email me that case, because that's a case where depending on where they are, where the scribe is, right, and the period, there's an issue of weak consonants being kept and then sometimes shortened.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, of course, when they're writing, well, like we don't have a problem with Kimmel with personal names. Like, there's a whole bunch of personal names with Kimmel.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We don't have that problem with a personal name, right? But but in this case, we're dealing with the collective noun, right? Collective noun. So that's my point, that Sonoran actually helped the case, but UNESCO didn't preserve it because UNESCO first seemed to have made Kimwet, Kimnet, right? You understand what I'm saying? I know we're just
exactly. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I seen that piece you're talking about. Yeah. When I first saw it, it looked strange. The first time I saw it.
Right. And a lot of people would have just they don't know grammar, right? And so but the people that know grammar knows that there cannot be a Kimnet form.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even hypothetical, right? That's not even hypothetical because it makes no sense.
Makes no sense, yeah.
Right. So now when he goes and says that they would have called themselves Kimu or Kemet, well, if they called themselves Kimwet, if you drop the weak consonant W, then it's Kemet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's my point of it. And then that's a examination of the Dr. Sonoran and Dr. Diop's.
Is this a paper, Reggie, or is this a actual full book that you're working on? Just so we know.
No, it's my article. The article will be entitled "Reexamination of Dr. Sonoran and Dr. Diop's a conversation on Kemet from the UNESCO conference."
Okay. So what I'm going to do now, since you mentioned it here, if you ever decide that you want to do presentations, I could humbly request a first crack, if you would.
Well, I would write it as a paper. I am presenting it right now with Christopher Withers.
Right, but
it wouldn't change. Do you understand? Because Christopher is on your platform. I'm Christopher.
How should I say Reggie? How should I say Reggie?
If Christopher would need to immediately correct me, he would immediately correct me. and it has nothing to do with being nice or not. He was just completely saying, "No, Reggie, I think you got that wrong."
Right.
Right. So I did present. I don't have to
Right.
represent because now I'm presenting with the person. There's only a couple of people that I would want to talk to about it. Would be
And let me just and let me just say thank you very much, Brother Reggie, for actually doing this on my platform. I do appreciate it. So
yeah, it would be Christopher Wizards. It would be Christopher Wizards, or it would be Smash Rockwell on this level. On another level, I've already talked to two PhDs on the issue, right?
I would. Right. I don't doubt that, Brother Reggie. I would never doubt your academic connections.
No, it's not.
I know you would have definitely been able to run it past certain people.
I'm a lay person, but I'm trying. But when I've kind of like finished my paper, then you can actually then. But Christopher understands the words, so he doesn't have to see my paper, right?
Yes, definitely.
Right. So there is yeah. So that is the difference, and so I just need to see with Christopher was what I was saying was plausible.
See, but as you say with me, and as I say, I'm a serial window jumper outer.
Yeah,
so,
you are.
So no matter how much brothers tell me that, I'll tell them I love you, thank you. But I'm not afraid to put the work out there and be critiqued.
Yeah, but you got to make sure that you don't also mess it up.
I mean, I think I did pretty well, other than a couple of things. It wasn't that horrible. In my view, it wasn't that horrible. I'm sure if I took my time, I could have done better. So what I think I'm going to actually do is go into it, do a part 2, do part 1 over, and then go into the second part of the presentation. And then, of course, I will definitely run it past my brothers in the back chat and clean it up.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to take my time to do it.
I'm just being a little selfish because I have Christopher Wizards here to actually help me. Help me.
I'm glad. I'm glad for both of you brothers, because you're helping me out. And believe it or not, I do listen and I do take in.
Yeah, but I wouldn't unless you know know grammar in those other cases.
I'm not the grammar guy.
It wouldn't be. It would be in my abstract is my defense. Well, my proposition in my abstract. The other stuff is my application to my proof, right?
And I'm so mad that when I went through your paper, a lot of those sources were no longer there, because I wanted to do a proper source examination, but a lot of those sources were not there anymore. So
well,
I went through as much as I went through as much as I could have.
But you could find them because they were if you was looking for a link, that was one of the problems with the paper.
Exactly.
But where it came from was actually there, and so you can actually find that.
Right. I was depending more on the links because there was 75. I think it was 75 links, something around that.
Yeah, but the simple thing is that's the difference. Like we have the luxury now, and Chris knows this. We have the luxury now of having stuff on the web. Normally, we would have to go and try to source a book, right? And so that nobody will have to source. And a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of material, you go and try to source it in the book, and it's not even in the book. And that's before AI. Am I wrong, Christopher?
He fell off again, Reggie. I don't know. The internet gremlins probably got him. I don't know what happened. He just fell off.
But if you want to do the easy work, once I cite it, then most likely it will be there. Nowadays, AI does a lot of hallucination. So a lot of people get caught because they use AI.
Yeah, and I need to, and here's the funny part, Reggie. A lot of times I will go into AI and I would look at the text, and I've actually read some of the text. So I'm familiar with maybe one or two of the texts that AI actually gives you. Some of them I'm not. And then when I go looking for them, you to me,
Right, it's not there. It's just
it's not even that it's not there. It's that when you get it, is it's kind of difficult for someone like me to look at the primary source and break down the primary source. And I don't like to be able to just read an English translation of something.
okay. That's you. If it comes from a reliable source, and if I'm making a quick point, I don't necessarily need to put the meta nature in. But I'm
just one of those who likes to see the mental nature and like to try and read
okay.
it,
You have
teach myself.
yeah. That's your religion. You like to see it. That's your holy text. You like to see it.
I don't Reggie, I'm gonna leave you alone, Reggie, because I believe that there. But yes, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the term spirituality.
Yeah. So.
And I can understand why some people do, but I don't have a problem with it, and I don't argue with people who say that they don't use the term, because most of those people are way above my skill level anyway, and they know why they're saying that. So I would argue with them. But I did actually start to read Barbara Bonacci's paper on Kepler. I did about 4 to 5 parts on it.
He did. So his paper is really, really great, and so is Dr. Diop's paper, right? He's how can I say, his is much more easier to read than, sorry, not Diop's paper, Obenga's paper. His paper is much easier to read, and his translations or usage of the words is really, really great.
I did see him quote Obenga, but I wasn't exactly sure what text he was quoting. I mean, what he was actually quoting.
African philosophy, Quranic period. That's what he's quoting.
Okay, so what I need to do is actually, when I go through the sources, I'll see exactly what I didn't reach that far yet. So maybe I'll go down to the bibliography and see exactly what sources he used, and maybe I could probably find.
Well, I just told you.
Okay, no problem.
I just told you. That's where Dr. Theophila Obenga did it in his work, African. But that book is hard to get.
I would think so.
If you can get it now.
All right.
If in fact you can get it.
I know that sometimes some of these things are hard to source.
Yeah, but you can get it in some libraries. So it's just difficult to buy it.
All right, but you see, the problem is I'm not living in the States, so I don't have access to those resources. So I'm living in Trinidad and Tobago, and I don't have access to go into those research facilities and do tours. Unfortunately, hopefully.
So where you are is how are the people's do the schools that teach the universities, are they interested in any of this stuff?
No. I would think that they're basically colonial. They don't, they're just like all the other schools. They don't, in this case, it's the same English-based kind of thing. So
they're not interested in African history.
I mean, I would think that the schools don't really teach it in that. My friends teach it. I don't think so. It doesn't seem that the curriculum is geared towards that necessarily. But I know someone who is a historian. He's a history teacher, and I have these conversations with him. And matter of fact, the condition of the school he works in is if you see the condition of the school itself, you would understand. The school itself is not in the best condition either. It's in a
lot of great scholars,
condition, and there's no reason for that.
A lot of great scholars came out of the Caribbean. A lot of great scholars came out of the Caribbean, and believe it or not, Dr. Ben came out of the Caribbean.
Yes. But what I'm saying is that if you look at the condition of the school dealing with the actual economy and the kind of money that passes through this country due to the energy sector and things like that, there's no reason for the schools to be looking that way. You know, you know, and then they have a whole political party system that is you're voted for the party, not the individual, and then they have a racial aspect involved in the party system, and a whole lot of things go on.
Yes.
And when you look at the average person of your age in Trinidad and Tobago, and you hear them saying, I'm standing outside of Parliament because someone who leads a political party told me to, that tells you something about the state of people. You can't be 65, possibly with diabetes and high blood pressure, standing in the sun because somebody told you to. When they ask you about the history, you don't know. And then you let people make this East Indian versus African thing, and that's a political thing that doesn't really exist. They don't have this religiously intolerant kind of society in Trinidad where because I'm this and that. No, it's not that way. They celebrate all people's spiritual traditions. Christians go to all people's spiritual gatherings. They don't have that kind of religious intolerance, which to me is a good sign. But the history and people understanding their history, they don't. Because they have certain celebrations here. People dress up in $10,000 dashiki outfits, but they don't know their culture. They do processions to bring African leaders, and like they don't really know the culture. They don't.
Okay, well so do you talk to any of the people around you about your work, or the people that you can find in your where you are?
Sadly enough, no. Even my wife doesn't even want to. Is not even interested.
And this is not talking about your wife, but talking about the other people. Why?
No, they're not. It's only you guys who I've met online are ones who I get to discuss it with and really try to encourage me to do the best that I can do with what I have. And one of the critiques is I really should not be dealing with the language in that way. I really shouldn't be doing those kind of presentations.
Right.
I really should not. But I'm just insistent that I want to try to do it, to at least put something out there to try and bring some type of clarity. And okay. I'm not doing the worst job, but I'm not doing the best job either.
You could do you're doing an adequate job because you have a page and you're kind of consistent, and I guess you're doing the best that you can because sometimes it's just difficult for us to talk to each other. So I'm happy today your platform allowed me to talk to Christopher Wizards.
Well, you know how happy I am, Reggie. You really don't know how happy I am, Reggie, that you're on.
Yeah.
And I always say to myself sometimes, Reggie, I see you dealing with certain platforms. And I'll say, if it was me, I wouldn't bother dealing with those platforms because they really don't appreciate and understand what you're trying to say. They don't have any, they don't have any appreciation for their own African culture. And they say
but that's always been a fight. But that's always been a fight. And I'm not trying to, first of all, you have to convince someone if you feel that they're working. But at the end of the day, it's their loss. It's my sacrifice to them, and it's their loss because they're not going to change. They're not going to write anything. They're not going to research anything. They're just going to do some push-ups, poke out their chest, and act tough. But in history, they're going to be forgotten. They're going to be dust because they didn't contribute nothing but being a follower.
And I would agree with you, Reggie.
Yeah, they're not going to contribute. Once you have the Bible, once you have the Bible, you have the Quran. Then you're not thinking about your future. You're just making sure Abraham survives and Jacob and Isaac. You're not interested in your granddaddy and your grandma and your great grands.
And I told somebody the other day, I said, you're on here critiquing, you're on here criticizing me but I have 400 videos on my channel, and you never watch one of those videos. But you're arguing with me about what I know and what I don't know. Why don't you go? Why don't you come onto the page, subscribe, look at what I'm doing, pull out something and actually criticize what you hear me say. Don't just make up something because you don't like what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Look
but
at
that's
what I'm
dumb.
saying and critique it with some sort of other than I don't like you. That makes no sense. You have no body of work to show on the subject at all, and what you do have is not great. But you've never watched any of my videos, and you're still talking about what you think I know. You don't know what I know because you don't watch. Subscribe and look at what you have. Pay attention to what Brother Jose is presenting, and then you can critique it. I don't care if you say it's wrong, right, whatever. But at least respect the fact that there's something there to critique. Put some respect on the disrespect, as I say, Brother Reggie.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if you're gonna talk about the video, promote the page.
No, they're not going to do that. Listen, look, I'm in the U.S. and I have a lot of people who actually agree with my work. But among people, I am not the most marketed. Uh, I'm not the most marketed, so I prefer to go on other people's pages and talk instead of getting 5 views or 10 views. I can't get. It's not. I'd rather go on someone else's page where they got 3,000 or 4,000 views than go on my own page and I got 5 people following me, and I don't care about. Well, later people will follow you, Reggie. I don't care about that. I'm trying to get my information out to the masses as quick as I can. So
I can relate. I can relate, but
I don't,
it's because of people like Smash and you guys that I actually started going live because I wasn't doing it before. And Smash was like, "You just go ahead, put out a live video," and I really never looked back since I did that. And I don't do
well,
it.
that's fine. Hey, where's I haven't seen Smash in a while. What's going on?
I think he's just working on other things, and he's building up his business. He was on a while ago, but like at this point, I think he's not doing the metal lecture. Maybe sometime this month or sometime next month. I think he said he'll come back to doing that.
Yeah, but I know the struggle, and you certainly got to feed yourself. So he when he was building up his business, he was being real uh, successful, especially during the holidays, and so I just think it was just go time for him.
I'm with that.
When I mean go time is, I mean I got something that I know I'm making money on.
Yeah.
My big thing is I can't even when I present my work, I get attacked by people like Chief X and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then we have to. But then, when you listen to these kinds of people, and they're reading Wikipedia, you recognize they don't know what they're reading
I know, but people
because
are
they're actually agreeing with everything we've been saying for the past however many years. But you don't understand that because you want to tell people that people got attacked based on skin color in ancient Kemet, and there's no proof of that. There was no skin color bias. If you were not Ma'at, or they had an honest beef with you, you could get it. It didn't, there was no favoritism. You could be the ruler, you could be the guy on the street. If you did not operate on Ma'at, there were consequences and repercussions for everyone.
I was always political. The mod stuff is taken too far. You're getting a little religious here.
I mean, I would.
Mod is what the king loves. It's not necessarily. There were bad kings and good kings.
I mean, I wouldn't dispute that.
Huh?
But I recognize that at least they were honest about their motivations when they went into war. They didn't always try to make it. It's like if they wanted to take.
No, they weren't always. No, they weren't always. It was. It's just bad kings and good kings, and then sometimes, like for example, Akhenaten was concerned with what he was doing. He wasn't concerned going into foreign countries.
What I didn't even recognize until I read the Restoration Stele of King Tut, how horrible a condition some of these temples were in. I didn't even realize that until I read it to recognize that, you know,
Well,
that's
that's because there's a change. It's not why restore something that you don't agree with.
right. But that is really, but that is going against the culture. The
No,
culture
it's
was
not.
those things were
You
important.
don't agree with. You don't agree with when a king doesn't agree with something, then he's not going to restore. He's gonna change. He's gonna matter of fact,
And I guess that's his right, right? As a
in
king, right?
Hatshepsut's time, they cut they chipped off her face, right? You-
And I guess it's his right as the absolute ruler to do so.
right, and the people. So some things are not going to be restored. Uh, the pyramids were already ancient when the Middle Kingdom came in, right?
Yes, they definitely.
Right, and
I can know things were definitely ancient.
and then by the time of the Dream Stella, it had portions of the Sphinx had to be dug out,
Right.
right?
But I
So
didn't even know that they actually had writing on that though.
what on what?
The hair market that actually has writing on it.
Well,
Hieroglyphs on it, I think.
I've seen more of the Dream Stella. I mean, I see the writing on the Dream Stella, but at the time of what they call the Sphinx, the Harmaket, I have not examined the writing on it. I haven't really exotic,
I didn't even know they actually had writing on it.
right? But I haven't examined it. I don't, and it doesn't mean that the writing was at the time of the creation of it. But I haven't studied it, and you know, right now, Jose, I'm not doing a lot of chemic stuff.
I see
I'm
that.
doing more. I'm more interested in this argument where they are trying to say Nubians and the people of Kemet were different, so different and so distinct. I'm more into that argument right now. But I do have but this is an unfinished paper on the Sonoran and Dr. Diop conversation.
Oh yeah, I would personally love to write something better, Reggie, but I don't know how that's going to come out, but I'll give it a try. I don't know.
Well, you have to have. Well, one is you could do what you call a book report. Book reports or more regurgitation. Like a lot of the YouTube videos or kind of book reports, or if there's something that you research, but that usually takes years.
It does.
That usually takes years of having some tracking down a lot of the primaries and stuff.
But I did find something interesting when I was looking at. I think it was the Ramses temple in, I forgot which one it was, where on it actually says that Nefertari is from Tarseti. But when I looked into it, they apparently there's not enough scholarly background to really say exactly where she came from, other than she was of a high status and she was married to, was it Ramses II or Ramses III? I think it was one of the Ramses.
Well, she's that's the problem with it, is she is Nefertari didn't pop out of nowhere. She has, which Nefertari are you talking about? Amos?
No,
Nefertari?
Nefertari. I think that was Ramses the second or third's wife, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
So you talk okay. So you're talking about a later Ramses. After, you're not talking about Amos Nefertari. You're talking about one of Ramses' wives, and she So she became she was one of his wives, and
I think she was the queen.
Yeah. Well, they have several. They can have several queens. They have the royal
Well,
They can have concubines, but
how should I say it? Hemet Nesut Beret would be the term that they would have used. The king's great wife, or the great wife of the king. The one the one that would have actually ruled beside him, as opposed to just being a secondary or a secondary wife.
right, a great wife. Okay, so and if she came from Taseti, and at that time period, they weren't really using Taseti at that way. By the way, they was using Kush, Kish. They wasn't using Taseti. So if you find that, send it to me or let me know. All right.
Don't need. Yeah, I did see it, but I don't think I have it. On
Yeah.
my,
Was it Metanetia or was it
it was
somebody?
in Medunecha. It was in the Medunecha.
All right, you find it. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I can send you the picture of it. And I'm sure I'm not mistaken that that's what it said.
I'll put it in the chat.
I wouldn't be able to do it because it's not on my tablet. I have to.
All right.
I would have to
Okay.
actually.
So the
email.
next time, I would like to see it. So you have my email, so send it to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for me today.
Thank you.
I think that's it for me today. What I was talking about today would have been the same when I was trying to talk to you the other night, but I was going to ask you about that Asiatic BS.
And I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see it because, as I said, I wasn't able to do that because I was on my phone at the time. I couldn't even share the presentation.
Yeah.
If you notice.
Uh-huh.
So somewhere in here, and I would definitely send it to you.
All right, that would be fine. So gonna go back and finish something I have to finish. So
Thank you very much.
all right, my brother. Peace.
All right, brother. Blessings, man. As you can see, we had a nice 2-hour talk with our brother Reggie and our brother Chris. So, you know that's plenty talking for me, right? So, on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I might come back a little bit later with a little small live, just because. So thank you very much. People have a blessed and wonderful night.